On that story, we're joined now by Johannesburg ANC's Fred Mokoko, DA Joburg caucus leader Belinda Kayser-Echeozonjoku, as well as EFF Johannesburg chairperson Sepetlele Raseruthe. You can weigh in tonight on the conversation. 072-110-558. Can the city deal with the current challenge of housing and realize the housing rights within the confines of the available resources? What are your thoughts? And you can weigh in tonight. Good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks, Trevor.
Let me start with you, Fred. I mean, looking at that particular story, looking at the position of the government when it first came in, and no, it has provided 4 million housing since 1994 on this premise that the state can be able to provide completed, funded homes. Is the state ready at a point to admit that that is no longer a viable approach?
Well, I don't know why is it not a viable approach. And I'll start with what was the vision. The vision was to ensure that you house the people. And it came from the Freedom Charter, there shall be housing, security and comfort. Now, for the ANC to continue on its commitment of giving housing, security and comfort, we need land. And as soon as we purchase the land, we put services. Some people illegally occupy the land. You are actually delaying the fact that other people who have been registered to receive houses will not receive houses because you are invading the land. Yeah. But also, as we build those houses, some people, before we even complete the houses, they illegally occupy the houses, and that on its own becomes the problem.
Are you not willing to admit that that in itself is a limitation? That no. Considering the state weak fiscal position, the rapid urbanization, and the socioeconomic profiles of the people that you're talking about, this incremental housing approach is not going to work.
It has been working. Except that
it has been working as far as for
when you are stealing, when you are stealing, and some people are willing to apply diplomacy for you who's stealing, and not looking at the people who are legitimately waiting for houses, then it's as if the program is not working. But the program has been working very fine until there came invaders. Let me qualify this point. There are 888 houses that have been invaded in Olivenhout-Bosch. Those houses were not complete. We have an eviction order. And at some point, we are going to implement it because we are done trying to explain to people, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. Even with this land, in 2017, we obtained an eviction order. But several times went to Rabie Ridge, removed people, they went back in, removed them, they went back in. So it's as if we're playing. We have to deliver houses, we have to deliver housing, security and comfort, and we can't do it when people are constantly invading and actually taking the right of other people who are registered to receive houses.
All right.
And we also want to give land, by the way, that people would be able to use to build for themselves. It's land that must be appropriated through the state apparatus, not people appropriating the land for themselves and then crying out foul that they are being removed. We have to remove them. It's not your land. We need to go and build on that land and give people houses. If we issue land, then let us issue that land appropriately according to the way the state has identified. So as the ANC, we feel for people who, for all these years, have supported our programs. And their support of our programs, it's about ensuring that they obey the rule of law.
Okay, let's bring in the others. Sepetlele, the program would have worked unless there are people who decide to come in and invade and do illegal things, and then they delay the process of the people who are already on the list.
Thank you very much, and good evening to you, Thabo, and your viewers at home. Let me first state categorically that EFF was not leading that program. By the way, there were some certain people under the pretense of the EFF who were leading that program. And we also want to alert our people in general that once you go, there is a program. and people are asking for money. You must know it's not an EFF program. By the way, those people who invaded there, they are scattered all over that place right now because they've been evicted. The government knows very well that this thing of land is giving them a problem. I'll quote Mama Winnie. She once said, Nelson, you are over-negotiating the issue of the land, and as a result, we'll end up losing it. Those who came before us, Thabo, struggle heroes, they were fighting for land. They were fighting for land. It's just that in that process, some of our leaders in that process got diluted. And then they left that issue unattended. And now is coming back to show them that that struggle was genuine. We were supposed to get the land back.
Yeah.
As the government...
But is it not that even if we were to give land, especially looking at available land, I mean, when we look at Alexander, there's just no more land to give to people. So the delivery will not match the demand, even if we were to say we are looking at the land question. There is a growing demand for housing in towns, in cities, and even in rural areas. But even if we were to say we are giving pockets of land, it will not be able to meet that demand.
But once the state becomes the custodian of the very same land, they will know how to allocate it. Because even in your household, Thabo, the custodian of that household belongs to you.
Yeah.
It's with you. You know why? It's because you give birth to your firstborn, and you come to realize that, hi, it's growing up. You must make a plan. You must at least build an extra room for that child. Same applies to the government. Without the land, you will never be able to lead your people and provide them with adequate shelter. That's where we find ourselves right now.
Yeah.
The government doesn't know what to do. You remember the Malamala saga of that land, which was very expensive, because the people who are in possession of the land, they know very well that if the government needs this land, they must come and buy it from us. Those people are the winners, by the way. They are in charge. If they give you a chase away price, you will have to start with them, because there is nothing that you can do, because you don't have land to provide your people with shelter. That's where we find ourselves in.
Yeah.
But if the land was in the hands of the state were going to say, people of Alexander, this is what is happening. We want to develop this land for you. And we remove some of you here, and we put them into that land, so that the ones who are left here, they can have proper houses.
Right.
But now if you don't have that land, what are you going to do? Because in order for you to get the land, you must buy it. Okay. Where are we going to get it?
Let's bring in Belinda. Belinda, the state, the ANC says it's invaders. The EFF saying, no, it's the land. Where does the DA sit on this?
You know, Thabo, we're sitting with the ANC and the EFF that is talking about land, right? One has to look at the historical situation when it comes to this particular situation. In 2011, and the ANC should remember this, 2011, around 2011, 2014, former Mayor Parks Tau and Dan Bovo went to these very same people to promise them land, promise them houses. That there was negotiations. Some of this land is provincial-owned land, some was private land, and some was owned by the city, and the city was given custodianship of this land. They have failed to do anything since that time. They have failed to do anything since that time. I'm hearing Raseruthe talking about court orders, and also the gentleman from the ANC. How many times have we seen that court orders need to be implemented once it happens, firstly? And then alternative accommodation needs to be provided. It is clear that in your intro, you talked about, is the current situation of RDP and all those providing housing the conventional way. It's not working. It's very clear that it's not working. What's happening today is a typical example as to why the DA is saying that when we talk about land, the current ownership, the current custodianship that is in the current land is in the custodianship of the state. They are failing the people already as it is. If they knew, if they were not failing the people of, for example, Rabie Ridge, the people of Diepsloot, the people of Zandspruit, the people of Cosmo City and Kanana and all those kind of informal settlements, they failed because the land is there. But because they are waiting for cadres to be able to benefit from this land, and instead of either unlocking it for the private sector or make service stand and allow people to build for themselves through, obviously, the correct procedures by allocating land. Just to give you an example, you know, Raseruthe is talking very nicely about land, for example. We had, when we were in government, when the multi-party was in government, Dr. Palatse and myself as the MMC of Development Planning at the time brought in a framework for Frankenwald. The ANC and the EFF, that was for mixed-use development. They voted against it, and now they see the benefit of those mixed-use developments that are coming in now. So they mustn't mislead the public and say they are for the people and they are really looking for land. What they've done have failed.
So you're saying in Rabie Ridge, the land is in the hands of the state right now, between province and the city. Province gave that land over to the city to say, put a development there, right?
There are 3 portions of land there. There's a portion that belongs to the province, there's a portion that belongs to the city, and there's a portion that belongs to privately owned land. And some of those privately owned land, there was negotiations which fell flat when we were still in government, 2017, I think, around the 2017, that fell flat because there was political interference in terms of the buyer and the seller not agreeing. Whether that is now completed, I'm not sure. But what I'm saying is, if there is land if this happened on state-owned land, it's a clear indication that both these gentlemen and their political parties who are running the city at the moment has failed these residents, and they've failed to even provide alternative accommodation.
The state cannot do anything when there's criminality. And there are people who are invading the space. Yes, the state wants to use the land and wants to give a program to the people, but there are criminals who invade the land.
I agree. You know, we cannot, there must be rule of law. If the bylaw enforcement was done when the first check went up, we wouldn't be sitting in a situation where people are now homeless because of the lack of bylaw enforcement that has happened. And let's not start that this happened recently. This invasion has happened over years, 2014, 2015, 2016. It's happened over many years. And the city failing to do bylaw enforcement and waiting for the situation to escalate and not developing. When they purchased the land or when the land became available, what stopped them from continuing with the process of, at least if they realize there's not enough money for RDP, for example, what stopped them from at least following the process and allocating land, put in the infrastructure, get the proper zoning rights, put in the infrastructure and allocating the land and give residents dignity by giving them their piece of land and assisting them to be able to build their own spaces in a controlled manner. But they left the land to be open, so they are responsible for this illegal occupation, because when the first check went up, they should have started demolishing and not doing and do something.
Estimated of about 100 households left in the lurch, homeless in the cold as we speak tonight, because the Johannesburg Metro Police, the Red Ants and some other private security evicted those shack dwellers, so to speak. And we are, of course, trying to get to the bottom of that, and we ask the question, can the city address this housing challenge within the confines of the available resources? Fred, let's come back to you. So it seems from what we're hearing, one, this is as a result of some dodgy tenure arrangements that could have emanated from officials themselves selling this piece of land to people who now they are calling invaders. And the reason for that is because you have been staying too long without resolving this issue that dates back many years. That's one. Two, there are bylaws that are not being enacted. So it's good and well to say you are for rule of law, but you're not implementing that.
Yeah, no, but we must tell the truth. Ne? The DA can't come here and grandstand. They took government in 2016 together with the EFF. Then there was a proliferation of shacks. In all the places where government had bought land, there happened to be new settlements. And they were accusing each other, the DA saying it's the EFF saying, no, it's the DA that's running the government. And I can tell you, there were projects that we were implementing at the time. Motswaledi is one of them, a settlement behind Bar, stopped by the DA. We were implementing Vlierof. There's a 3-year stoppage of the implementation of Vlierof because we couldn't build a power station, a substation there.
Why couldn't you build a power station?
No, the substation was meant to augment electricity for new settlements that were coming, whilst other electricity came from ESCOM.
Yeah, but what was the reason for the stoppage of the building of
They
the
were
power
not paying contractors. They were not paying Calgro. And Calgro is a very big developer. It's on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. There are various news articles that came out. So they stopped development in the city of Johannesburg. On the very land, they stopped the development that was supposed to happen and actually reversed the process of acquiring the land.
We on Rabie Ridge?
Yes, we had to go and acquire the land through other means using our national agents. So they must not come here and lie. Now, we have built new settlements and we have ensured that in instances where we are working with developers, including private developers, there are settlements that are being built for people, including people who are in the middle class and upper classes. You have a waterfall estate now. It's a result of the ANC-led government and the planning department that today they are undermining, as well as bylaw enforcement and the infrastructure that is there. Top of the class
one
infrastructure.
can't talk about waterfall estate and the demographics that we are talking about right
now.
No,
No, I'm coming back to you. I'm saying we have built new settlements, and among them are the upper class settlements, the middle class settlements, and the low class settlements, which is what we call mixed income housing typologies that we built. And the settlements that we actually changed the law and came with breaking new ground because we wanted to ensure that we are building mixed use settlements. The very area in Alexander that is talking about, the area that is owned by Wits that she mentioned, the plans were taken to the city. They were never dealt with until Mashaba went out of power. They were dealt with when Jeff Makubu became the mayor of Johannesburg. And that is when the Alexander Renewal Program as well started giving some hearing. They stopped the people of Alexander from their development. I mean, they wanted the statement of intent to be signed, which was going to give the land and ownership properly to the people of Alexander so that they can lift the moratorium that is there on the further development of Alexander. So the People Coalition can't come here and lie. Now, let's come back to the main issue. The ANC is in the business of building the country. There's nowhere where we can leave people. You know, in Soweto, there was an area called Mshenguville. It was a shackland. Anybody who went to Soweto would know that when you come across the areas of White City, as you move out of Mofolo, getting to White City, you would come off there with a stench. Ne?
Yeah.
We removed that place. Those people were taken to other settlements, built houses. They are staying there with their families. Life is fine. That is what we do.
But that doesn't stop the growth of informal settlements. We are seeing them mushrooming every single second day.
Yes, it's because people want to come and stay in the city.
Right.
So that's the correct phenomenon that we must look at as to what are the plans that we are going to have going forward.
What is your response to rapid urbanization?
Yes, the response to rapid urbanization. Otherwise, you can't stop people from wanting to live a better life and they think the better life is in Africa. I mean, it's in Johannesburg. They will come here. But the reality is we do not have the land to house all of them at once, which is why we started building high-rise buildings now. We are trying to accommodate as many people as possible. But secondly, we are trying to ensure that whoever gets a house, gets a decent house. Yeah. You know, the RDP document, that it was a fine document of the ANC and Alliance. It had 6 key principles and 5 programs. Where it talks about housing, it identifies various problems to resolve when you resolve the problem housing. Water, electricity, ablution facilities, schools. So all of those things must be in a human settlement. Now, when government is trying to do that, some people somewhere have ideas. Whilst they were in government in the People Coalition, we wanted to build houses in Crosby. To this day, we can't build houses in Crosby because their councillor was the one who actually changed the plans with the community to say he wants a mall there instead of us building a settlement for people. So the People Coalition can't come here and lie.
All right, Sepetlele, I see you're wanting to jump in. Let's bring you in here. Yeah.
I wanted to jump in, Thabo. I can hear the ANC saying the DA is lying. The DA is saying the ANC is lying. But in actual fact, they're both lying. Because as in 2016, we donated our votes to the DA to give service delivery to the people of Johannesburg. They failed to do whatever she's saying was going to be implemented. Even
so this story that while you were giving your votes, there were informal settlements that began to mushroom because projects in Florhof, projects in Crosby, projects in Alexandra would have been stopped.
Yes, you must remember, Thabo, we are living with our people. We are living amongst our people. And the issue of land, we cannot avoid it. That is why, as the EFF, we are saying, if you say a nice piece of land and you want to occupy it and make it your home, do that. Yeah. You know, they're surprising me. Once those people, they occupy, and then we come to formalize that settlement, they come back, the very same people, and say, we love you, we want you to have shelter. But when we started, they were the ones who were against the establishment of the very same settlement.
You don't see that as delay.
In 2012, it's not delay.
If the land is occupied.
We are helping the government, in fact. There is a squatter camp named Dalimpov in Ivory Park. People are living there. We are fighting for that constituency now with them. But they never wanted those people to settle there. In 2012, Thabo, we formulated a team of people who wanted the land. As a result, we went to Rabie Ridge about the very same land. We asked the current councillor at that time, Councillor Lamula, about the very same land. He said in 2014, when he was trying to stop us from invading, in 2012, he said, after 4 years, we are going to develop that land. Like he's saying right now. That is why I'm shocked when he's saying they are lying. Because they've been lying to us. There is another land. They tried to build COVID houses there. That land, Thabo, every time when we approach elections, there will be a soil turning. I can tell you freely. Pakistan did a soil turning there. Mokoko, the late, may his soul rest in peace. He did a soil turning there because it's the piece of land which they used to campaign. No, now, once you lie, but I was listening to you. But I was listening to you, a leadership. Once you lie to our people many times like that, you are frustrating them. And at the end of the day, they know they can no longer listen to you. They will just go and occupy that land. And us as the EFF, by the way,
Fred,
now that those people are scattered around there, we have sent relevant structures to go and engage with those people. We are helping them. Because we will never distance ourselves from our people.
What is your help that you offer?
We have sent our structures there. They're trying to help them food, things like that for now.
You're helping them settle there, in other words.
No, we are going to support them. No, we are going to support them to settle there. Because that is their land, and that land is used to campaign. And now we must occupy that land so that when they want to campaign, they must campaign.
All right, let's give Belinda a chance.
It's very unfortunate that both the ANC and the EFF is using poor people to campaign just before elections. Firstly, if the land is earmarked for development, And to an extent, I agree with you in terms of the illegal invasion of land that has happened. Because the EFF, even though they did not say go here, but if you tell people occupy everywhere, they're going to occupy if they see a piece of land. So they're encouraging lawlessness. We're saying as the DA, if you see that whatever you have done over the past 30 years has not worked, that is why in the Western Cape, we have an app with a database where people are able to upload that they are looking for a house, and they're able to even get their service stands. Because what the ANC has done over the years is not getting service stands.
You are equally encouraging lawlessness by blocking the programs that would have been put in place by your previous administration when you come in.
No, it's not true.
And the people then become frustrated and decide to settle there.
It's not true.
And the EFF then helps them to settle.
It's not true, Thabo. What we are saying is when things need to be done, it needs to be done properly. If there are lawlessness or anything where there is corruption involved, of course, at the administration of the day, you need to find out why was this delayed for so long. You can't tell me that 2011, 2013, 2014, this started. And only in 2016 do they see now the DA or whoever was the government of the day is stopping it. That is absolutely nonsense. The ANC must not lie to the people. They delay projects, they delay programs, and they stop, like even now, some programs that were started by when we were in government, they stop it because they want to bring in their own cadres and continue with their own corruption first and see that whatever programs is done by the city or done by government benefits cadres first.
All right.
And that is why residents are sitting in the
same land where you've been doing sword turning every time it's close to elections. You keep turning that land without actually giving it to the people.
You know, there is Riverside.
Let's talk about this one. We'll come back to Riverside, but let's talk about this one.
I'm talking about what the ANC does.
Yeah.
The ANC finds a space in government. When we work, we find a space. And then we process the space.
No, I want to pass this message across. Because when they're speaking,
you must listen.
I listen. But when I was speaking, I touched nerves. They interrupted me.
It's fine. We'll give you a chance.
I'm going to close my mouth because I know how to
coalition as well.
So you must listen to me as well.
They are currently in government and they're throwing people on the street without providing alternative accommodation.
Now, in Riverside, there was an open space. And the developers there said that we can develop the space working with you as the state.
Right.
These are people who are doing business with property and whatnot. And we said, okay, we hear you, but we want people to have houses. And we give them away for free. They said, no, we agree with you. Actually, we can go on a partnership. People are getting houses there almost every month. Yeah, there are 400.
But why is it not happening in Rabie Ridge? Why is that?
It's not happening in Rabie Ridge because the Purple Coalition, that was the EFF and the DA, decided from 2016 to 2019, when they collapsed, that they are not going to support anything that they found in office. They circumvented the money that came from the provincial government.
But they're saying that's not true.
No,
not true.
But the facts are true. No, the facts are there.
You keep bringing changing from Mokoko to
the facts are there.
Instead of what they've done since 1994. They've been lying to the people.
Black and white in paper. That is what they did. Ne? So it's not up to me to fabricate a story on television.
Quick WhatsApp message.
Motsoaledi is not functional today. We still have to go there and build. They stopped Kanana Park Extension 5 and Extension 6 in Johannesburg.
Let me quickly take these WhatsApp messages and then we'll come back and wrap up the conversation. We'll give Raseruthe there an opportunity, uninterrupted, to respond. Hi, Thabo. Does the current government have an up-to-date immovable asset register? If so, why do government dilapidated buildings, some even hijacked? We can look for more land if we have such a high number of undocumented visitors. Most houses built by government are occupied by these visitors. Let's manage what we have first. Only then will we know exactly what to do. Evening, Thabo. how can people invade a property without consequences? This particular law makes no sense and is time-consuming and expensive and should be abolished. The government should find state-owned pockets of land and relocate those who were evicted. People's dignity has been trampled on by government of the day. Hanton in Kimberley. Some thoughts there tonight. Right. Let me again give you, Raseruthe, a chance to respond to your part in this as then offering your votes to the Democratic Alliance at the time, and how you would have sat and watched the programs being delayed.
Thank you very much, Tab, again. As the economic freedom fighters, we understand that we are the last hope to the people of South Africa. That is why when someone comes to them and say, I'm from the EFF, let's invade here, they will just follow that person because they believe in the EFF. But like I said in the beginning, once they start demanding money, you must know that is not an EFF program. Those people fell victim as a result of having hope in us, but we are not going to disown them. In fact, like I said, we have sent relevant structures to go there and find out as to what happened exactly, because as the economic freedom fighters, I think their rights were violated there, because those people established that settlement last year, and they were evicted this month. And I'm talking about complete structures there. Those were complete structures. Right. But anyway,
what do you make of that listener, viewer rather, who's saying that kind of law is nonsense? And you say people can just invade and then you must just allow them to.
But you can't be blaming the current solution, whereas you don't have a possible solution. You are stuck. You don't know what to do with our people. Us, we are living with them. We know their frustration. Myself, I grew up in Ivory Park, by the way. There are some settlements that I knew then. They're still there, those settlements. And once I hear someone saying, no, man, I'm homeless. You saw elderly people there. They're homeless. They're the ones who are trying to secure themselves a shelter. Those elderly people, if you go and check, some of them, they're on the waiting list. They're still waiting for houses. They're trying to be law-abiding citizens. But without shelter, they end up getting frustrated. And they must do what they can do in order for them to secure themselves a piece of land which they can call home. Because all of us here, I think we've got same places where we say, after this interview, I'm going home. Those people are frustrated. They are not creating it. And the law is on their side.
So the law says... You've mentioned twice now, you're saying when they ask for money, they are not EFF people. So who's asking for money?
No.
Who has the authority to say to the people, well, give us money for this piece of land?
We are busy with our investigations as to who is asking for money until they destroyed those shacks. And we said, no, now that they've destroyed. By the way, we were happy that the land was invaded and our people were provided with shelters. Even if they were paying, we were investigating. But at the end of the day, our people had hope that we are going to have a place to call home. Remember, Tabo, even if we can push the DA to push service delivery, once they push it, we are happy that our people are getting helped. We don't care who's bringing it, but where there is EFF, there is no money. Let me give you a practical example.
Final one so that we can give the chance.
Let me give you a practical example. In 2018, there was a strike at this camp. We were asked to come and help there. And then we went there. And then we helped those people. 40 people were dismissed. We helped those people. They went back to work without paying us a single cent. That's the EFF for you. But our people believe in the EFF. We are saying to our people, once you hear someone saying, I'm from the EFF, I'm leading this program, and start asking for money, please try and find out as to who are the leadership of EFF in that particular branch, so that you can be sure that this program is being led by the EFF. Because those people now, they're homeless. And we can't say we were not leading this thing and we cannot help them. Those are our people, those are our voters. By the way, we are being voted for by the people who happens to be very marginalized.
Yeah, okay.
And those people are our people. We are going to help them with whatever we can help them.
All right. Belinda?
And at the end of the day, before I part ways, we are urging those people, we are urging the people of Johannesburg for EFF on the 29th. Thank you very much, Tabo.
Tabo,
yes,
Raseruthe has just confirmed live on TV that they are encouraging lawlessness in the city of Joburg. So they are solely responsible for this situation that is currently happening. Yeah. Because in my view, from what he's saying now, it makes me to understand he's probably using it as a campaign tool to get more votes for 29th of May, which is completely unacceptable. But let me come back.
Seri, for example, that gentleman that was there would agree with what they're saying, that those people have settled there for more than a year, and therefore there's some legality and some rights that should be.
We understand that, but let's deal with the crux of the issue of not encouraging lawlessness that leaves the vulnerable more vulnerable. That is what we are against. We're saying don't encourage illegal invasions when you know that there's going to be consequences. That's the first thing. And then provide alternative accommodation if these kind of things happen. I just want to say, it's very strange. Raseruthe is part of the government in the city of Joburg at the moment, right? The city of Joburg has 28,000 properties that we have asked during the budget speech that JPC, who is the custodian of city land and city properties, why can't some of these properties not be converted to provide affordable accommodation? There are properties that are standing empty, and already we've started in 2016 when we were in government to try and do some of that in the inner city and other areas. So we're saying currently, one of your viewers has just asked about is there no properties that can be converted? We're saying in the absence of not having enough budget, not really having a plan, why not see which of these properties are available to be converted to either mixed use and affordable housing for residents? It's not a difficult task, but the ANC unfortunately has done this in a manner that is very difficult to be able to maintain, and that is why you see you can go into different areas, Randburg, not Midrand because it's new, but the Joburg CBD in some areas where it's empty. There are city-owned properties that are empty and also being illegally invaded. So we're saying use some of these properties and use it as, and convert it to, give it to the private sector to be able to use for affordable housing. They would be able to assist. Yes. And then to be able to assist with the current housing backlog in the absence, because unfortunately, we have to be clear, we have to be honest with ourselves, that in a situation of South Africa where we have such big income disparities,
time is gone.
We got to be able to say that you need to create an environment where government cannot do it on their own. You must be able, to also create an environment where things like this, where you bring in the private sector, is able to assist and provide service stands and allow people to build for themselves, provide vouchers, make arrangements with some of like what we do in the Western Cape and assist.
Thank you very much.
Your time is self-built houses is not necessarily capitalism. I mean, part of the white paper suggestions that are coming from the ANC, Mamulukukubai, is promoting self-built.
We called it the People's Housing Process, PHP.
Yes.
Now, I'm telling you that it's capitalism, what she's saying, because we asked for those buildings in one meeting with Mr. Eman Mashaba when he was DA mayor.
They're going to use Eman Mashaba all the time. He's not here to talk about it.
They are mayor.
They failed.
As the DA. We asked for those buildings. He never gave them to us. He couldn't build in them, but he never gave them to us.
Give it to the ANC.
So
give it to the ANC.
Hold on, give it to
give it to the
ANC.
will continue to build. We will continue.
For 30 years.
The list of their mayors.
Yeah, more,
they've been leading alone.
4 million houses. They want to be like us. They want to be like the ANC that builds houses. They are not. We are government. We build houses and we give them freely to the people. not this thing of affordable
With taxes
housing
done by
with
the private
landlord,
sector, which is
with the
capitalism.
landlord who charges a lot of money, and then the people don't actually get the satisfaction of the services.
When you say that, that is not being genuine in a sense, because there are low-income individuals, yes, and there are no-income individuals, and there are those that are in a position to get contractors, buy material and build houses. So
we are biased
you cannot have a
one-size-fits-all
one-size-fits-all approach.
We are building human settlements because we are accommodating that approach, but we are also biased to the poor and the working class. We can't dictate terms of how to build houses only through property owners and developers without looking at the lower end of the market where people cannot build or buy for themselves, which is what the DA wants us to do. And the EFF does not have foresight, because the very land that is vacant may tomorrow have settlements. We have to plan on it, we have to put infrastructure on it, then we can build settlements. Yeah. When are we going to do that?
What about the instances that the EFF has already mentioned to say, well, if you look at Ivory Coast, there are settlements there, the Ivory Park, yes. There are settlements there that you would have rejected previously. Now you are putting services there.
No,
you're putting water,
because it's election
yes. But to put water and electricity in any settlement, it's after following certain processes like the EIA. Yeah. Some of the areas that get invaded are wetlands. What can you do in a wetland? And you come to the government, you want services on a wetland. Tomorrow you drown. That is what the EFF wants us to do. Yeah. They want us to drown people.
Yeah, but ANC cannot come here and be blaming the DA.
No, I'm blaming both of you. I'm blaming both of you.
We can list.
I'm blaming both of you.
There are former mayors there.
Yes, you can.
Leading the city of Johannesburg without anyone.
We removed a settlement in the middle of deep roof.
But they failed to do what they
we removed the settlement.
It can't be that now the reason for their failure is the DA or the EFF.
They stopped capitalism.
Let's leave it there. All right. Let me take this WhatsApp message. Let me take a WhatsApp message so that we can wrap it up. Listen to this. Fina says, where is accountability with your guests? They are all saying the one is lying, the truth is self-benefiting. My vote is still valuable. Please, guys, apologize. You failed our people. That is the feeling from our viewers there. Hi, Thabo. Any ANC government is practically encouraging what is happening there. They want people to settle like that so that they will be provided with bucket system toilets, which makes them benefit continuously via draining trucks, tenders, and water supply tenders. It is a very sad situation how this beautiful land becomes rotten due to illegal occupation. Elias Malapane there. All right, that's the last one. Unfortunately, because of time, let me thank you all. I got to leave it there. That is ANC's Fred Mokoko, DA's Belinda Kayser-Echeozonjoku, as well as EFF's Sepetlele Raseruthe.